Hey there, Internet. Keeve here, and welcome to the Cars with Keeve YouTube channel. And you see by a smile on my face, we are reviewing a much anticipated pressure washer. Now, it's actually the same model, but it's just a revised model. This is a V2 to the AR630. So the original's max PSI said it was 1900. This one's max PSI is 1600. Now those are numbers you're never going to see. Those are internal numbers and stuff. The rated pressure of the old one was 1400. The rated pressure of this one is 1400. It's kind of weird, right? The max GPM on this says it's 2.1. The max GPM on this says it's 2.3, rated at 1.9, rated at 2.1. Now, I have gotten well over 2.1 with this unit with certain size nozzles. Some videos are out there. I Am Just V already did a video. I would suggest you go see his video, especially if you're looking for generator type information. He did a generator hookup to it and everything. They call it the winking eye plug, which is this right here. As you see, one of them is horizontal, one of them is vertical. He's blinking at you right there. That is set up for a 20 amp dedicated outlet. Now, this one comes with a 35 foot, 12 gauge beefy wire, really nice. The older one came with that as well, but I shortened mine up to fit on my wall setup. Now, I bought this for $788, free shipping from Car Supplies Warehouse. Car Supplies Warehouse has this one for sale for $945, free shipping. So that's about a 15% increase in price. I'll leave a link below. Those links give us a commission on the channel, helps us pay for all these because I paid full price for this. I didn't get no free one for none of this. This one I didn't get free either. Is it worth it though? I mean, that's kind of, it's like a want and need type of thing. Do you need this? No, you don't need this. You could get away with a $100 Ryobi pressure washer. I mean, you could wash your car with it. They're going to get clean the same way in the end. This is just a want. It's a luxury item. It's nice. Now, if you're running a business, this is a commercial unit. It is built to run and built to last. Now, Obsessed Garage, I'll link below. It's about the only place that you can still buy this at a pretty decent price. It's about $800, and I think they still charge shipping though. But $945 free shipping, $800, maybe $850. So you're saving about $100. But there's only, I think, about 12 on their website that said left of this one. In every way, this one's bigger. This one's about a 1/4 inch wider. It's about a 1/2 inch taller. It's about 1/4 inch or so, maybe a little more, a 1/4 inch longer, but I measured it to right here. So it's about 9 inches this way. We're at about 15 3/4 this way, and we're about 9.5 inches tall. Another thing you'll notice between the two is where's the pressure switch over here? Well, they made the pressure switch internal. So now it is not part of the assembly. That is really nice because this always sits out there and this is always a thought. Am I going to hit that? The oil sight window on this one is so much better. The one on this one is on the back and it's very small. Now they ship these with the oil kind of sealed, right? But these pumps, they need to breathe a little bit. So we take off this red one right here, and then we take that one in here, and that also gives us the dipstick with actually a little area there to kind of let you know. The sight window is more than enough though. They added a set of nozzle holders on the backside. But now, if this is on a shelf high up, that's hard to reach. These should have been here or here. Most of the people are going to have one of these. It's going to most likely be on a shelf. I love the look. I love the black with the accents. Now, if you see this stripe right here and it's red, that is the hot version of this, the one that allows hotter water. The blue version is the cold water version. Unloader valve, this one's way better. This one is so big. It is easier to kind of turn because you have more surface area, gives you more leverage on the hand. But this thing takes a toll on your hand. It hurts. This one, smoother and everything. And of course, we are going to turn this one as max as possible because I'm not turning that down. The on-off switch. And you'll see that it has 3 modes. You have off, you have TSS, and bypass. TSS is total start stop. That means every time you pull the trigger and the machine sees that it needs PSI, it runs. When you let go of the trigger, the PSI builds up, the pressure relief valve shuts the electricity off to the motor, which means the pump will stop as well. When you run it in bypass mode, the motor basically runs constant. When you pull the trigger, the pump is going to pump and pump. That's something that you really would only want to use in high volume scenarios, fleets and stuff. If you're using like 200 foot of hose, that total start stop with the delay on that length of hose, you're going to want to run that in bypass mode. But most people, 90 something percent, we're going to be running in total start stop. But my gripe is, look how much that bends. Plastic. on a $1,000 pressure washer. That is not a confidence inspiring on-off switch to me. One more gripe that I have is in order to install the garden hose connection for this, you need a freaking 1/2-inch Allen key. Who has a 1/2-inch Allen key in their garage that's not an auto mechanic? You have that garden hose thread here. You have this thread here. That kind of goes through here and it screws down this way. But don't worry, I have a cheaper way for you to do that. You basically take 2 bolts. This is a 1/2-inch bolt here, and we have, this is an M8 bolt. So you have your metric and we have our standard. Have the nut that's the same size and screw it all the way down to where it meets. So your little 1/2-inch bolt here, as you can see, fits in there just fine. This is actually this is a 13 millimeter, but that will fit a 1/2. This is for my lawnmower. It's much easier, but you see now we have a way to turn this and get it to go in. Now the one nice thing is it is a 3/8-inch MPT, because most people using something like this are using a nice 3/8-inch 50-foot hose. So you can just take a 3/8-inch MPT, quick connect right there. Or if depending on what setup your hose has, then you would just plug in this one right here. And then you'd be able to use this type of quick connect in there. The old one was M22 14 millimeter. Now, if you have an M22 hose and you want to stay M22, then I would suggest that you use the quick connects, really. You would get one of these 3/8-inch, the ones that screw on, and then you have an M22 style one that will, you know, go onto your M22 hose, and then you would be able to connect it like that. Now, one thing you're going to see here, you're going to think that's a little weird, right? Look at the opening here on the output. That's pretty small, right? This M22 piece actually comes off. This took a lot more effort earlier because it was all thread locked up in there. This is a 5 Allen key, I believe. It doesn't go in. This goes in. So actually the diameter of this outlet on this piece right here is actually bigger than the outlet here. So before we get any further into the video, don't forget to check out the links below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let's go have some fun testing. So now we're over what I call the questionable part of the garage. This is where we have the fun. You see 2 630s on the table. Keith, are you going to be doing a dual setup video? Yes, the next video after this, we're going to do the dual setup of these 630s. Can you get the new one and run it with the old one and get crazy GPM numbers? Just remember, to run that, you would need 2 dedicated 20 amp circuits. Now we got the old 630 hooked up. To make this fair, I have 35 feet of 10 AWG cords, so that way our cord lengths are just about the same. Go ahead and get a dB rating while we're at it. About 36.5 ambient. So constant, it's about 77.5 to 78 decibels. But at the end, when the pressure switch kicked in and it made that little ramp down at the end, it was a little bit louder, about 79 decibels. Here you go, from about this far away. Here's ambient is about 37. All right, it's about 74 decibels from that distance. And then that ramp down, which actually is louder, it comes out about 76 decibels. So we're on a 4.0 on the AR630. It's gonna get us close to that, about 1,000 PSI that we run on this. It gets you around 2 gallons per minute. We're gonna see obviously what the difference is between the two on that. We'll probably drop down to a 3.5 on this just to see what our max PSI is, because this thing really doesn't climb much beyond, say, 1100. It doesn't really go much up, but the amps really don't go crazy either. This actually, you know, the amps aren't bad on this machine. So about 10, 15 PSI. We're 14.5 on the wall. We're at 1.92 on the meter. So this is a 3.5. About 1100 PSI. On the wall, we're at 15 amps, and at the meter, about 1.75 gallons per minute. So a big drop in gallons per minute. I think at that point, you're just, as you go up in PSI, your flow is going down too much and you're not getting any benefit out of it. All right, 4.5. Wow, it's about 975, about 14.5 amps, and it was 2.13 gallons per minute. So we didn't drop a whole lot in PSI. we gained some gallons per minute for sure. Let's go to the 5.0. It's about 825, 13.2 on the amps, 2.2 gallons per minute on the wall. So here's the 5.5. So about 720 PSI. We were only at about 12.5 amps, but we didn't increase GPM at all. It stayed exactly at 2.2. So that's the dead limit of the machine flow wise. All right, well, we're turning off the 630 and that may be the last time that we use it until we do the dual setup, but it's probably never gonna go back up onto the wall. We're gonna run our Ely, which I love because I can just quick connect this off and then I can plug it directly up to a pressure washer just like that. So it works out perfect that way. 5/8" Flex Seal hose, always been great for me. The swivel grip right here. So that way, if you aren't using a quick connect, this will help you leverage here because there'll be swivel there and swivel here. Be able to crank that down real easy by hand. We have our jumper hose here. It's about 2 4-foot sections of 3/8 hose. I have a M22 on this end, but I use the quick connect here, hooked up to that. That runs to our 3/8 Kevlar hose, which is on our fixed fans retractable hose reel. And we're using our 2-2 gun, which is my favorite so far. I went through this frustration, so you don't have to. So you're definitely want a Teflon up top for the 3/8 because a lot of these, they just don't fit right. I tried a couple, they both leaked, so I used Teflon. The bottom one, the 1/2" bolt trick that I showed you really only works when you want to tighten it. But if you don't put Teflon on there and you find out it leaks and you want to take it off, the little bolt trick doesn't work because you know the other bolt's just gonna come off. I had to figure out some vice grips, maybe a few little cuts over here, and I got it off. And then I Tefloned it and now it doesn't leak. I have the valve as far as I can go. It's clockwise, makes it more. Turn on TSS because that's what we're mainly gonna use. There we go, here's bypass, so it's basically constantly running. Like that. TSS. So the big difference between the two is the bypass is always ready. There's really no ramp or anything like that. But TSS is what we're going to use. All right, ambient from here, 36. $70 decibels. It does bump up to about 73, 74 when that sound happens at the very end there. Let's kind of go outside of our little area here, get about right here. Ambient's 36.5. So about 67.5 decibels. That's quiet. This one just has a distinct sound that's a little weird. This one, I like that a lot better. That's one thing to like for sure. All right, here's the 4.0 nozzle. Let's see what kind of amps we're gonna pull. With the 4.0 in this, we pulled 14.5. Let's see the increase in amps. 1150, 16.5, 2.02 on the wall. Before with the 4.0 on this, it was 1.92. Our PSI was what, 1050? So we gained, it was about 100 PSI more. 16.5 amps, but we're still well within the 20 amps. We're at 16.5 amps. Just wanted to double check 16.7 amps. No problem whatsoever. That's well within range. We could drop down to a 3.5 and see what happens. So here's a 3.5. About 1260 PSI. We're at about 17.9 amps on the wall, and we were like 1.87 or so gallons per minute. Actually some pretty dang good numbers right there. And we're not all the way up on our amps. Can we go to a 3.0 or is it just gonna bog down? And you know, these induction motors can be a little bit wonky. So not a huge improvement, like 1300 PSI. We did get about like 18.2 amps on the wall. Not a crazy increase, but the drop in gallons per minute was the 1.66 from 1.87. So a huge drop in gallons per minute. So now let's go to a 4.5. So that's our 1015 PSI. 2.12 gallons per minute on the wall, 15.5 amps. It's not bad. We're not overamped like I thought we would be. Let's go to a 5.0. 865, big drop, 14.3 amps on the wall, 2.26 gallons per minute at the meter. Can we go to a 5.5? Let's see here. We definitely got improvements. All right, so 770 PSI. No change on the gallons per minute, still stayed at 2.26. So we're at that max flow. It's like 13.5 amps. So a 5.5, it's not going to give us the benefit we're looking for. We did not get the increase in gallons per minute. 4.0 nozzle, and I know we spent a ton of time talking about the machine, going through all the connections, going through all those numbers, and some of you are like, wow, there's a whole lot going on there. But a lot of it is just making sure and testing that what the numbers are. And now we're going to be able to feel on the panel what it's like. This is a 25-degree nozzle. We can show how it hits. This is the ramp. And it's not bad. And the pop isn't bad either. Sometimes in these machines, the initial pop is bad. This actually isn't bad at all on the ramp. It's real quick. You hear the machine. I mean, you can barely even hear it. I mean, it's like, you can hear it obviously, but compared to other units, compared to the older 630, it's definitely much quieter. Look at that. I mean, look how much water. We're just overly drenching the panel. It's just so much flow. But man, we're well over 2 gallons per minute and 1100 something PSI. It's good times, good times. Here's the 4.5, and the amps earlier when it was 1150 was about 17 or so. So still very safe. Pretty dang cool. Pretty dang cool. And it's hitting. Like, look at the evacuation of the water. There's like no water here. It's all gone. Now earlier, 5.0 maxed out at GPM. So there's no use in dropping PSI if you're not gaining gallons per minute. That's 850 PSI. Now this is what everybody wants to know. And the great thing about the old 630 is that you could run a 1.25 orifice. This is the Rancovo. This is my current favorite. This is running a true 1.25 from MJJC orifice. So we are dead on the 1.25. We'll see how this goes amps wise, if we have to move up an orifice or can we run with the 1.25. We're going to see how it foams regardless. Oh my Lord. It's like, it's not that the thickness is any more than running a 1.1 on a Ryobi, right? The volume of water creates so much foam on the panel at that thickness. I didn't have to go that way and then backwards to get that full feel. I got the full feel of the panel on one run and I didn't even go slow. Wow. Let's check the amps. I'm not going to waste any soap. I'm going to run it with the top the way it is. Yeah, we're actually 18.8 amps. 18.5. I ran it for a little while because it was steadily rising and rising and rising. Hit 18.7 and back down and kind of stayed steady 18.5. So this is the 4.0. We'll do like this side and we'll do the 4.5 on this side. Wow, that's a lot of water. Here's the 4.5. These things make me so happy. All right, we're at the time to check the accuracy of our wall metering system. Obviously that thing's using calculations and some kind of propeller to judge gallons per minute. It's been off almost every single time, around 5% under. So it's always less than what I get at the bucket. The bucket's just a more accurate way of measuring, but it is not the most accurate because we're only doing it for a minute. The machine can fluctuate in that period of time. We spray in the bucket for a minute and then we measure what's in there. 8.34 pounds per gallon. All right, here goes nothing. And what I'll do at about the 50-second mark, I'll kind of stand up a little bit and see if I can see my amp meter to see what it's at. So when I looked up at about 48 seconds in, it was about 17 amps even. Pretty good. We have 18.16 pounds over here, so that's well over 2 gallons a minute. Let me get my phone to calculate. That is 2.18 gallons per minute. It's 2.177. So 1140 PSI, 2.18 gallons per minute. Yes, pretty good. We'll see what the 4.5 does. On the wall, it's 2.06 most of the time. Sometimes it goes 2.1, some 2.0, but 2.06. And between that and 2.18, that's about 5% difference. So we're at a 4.5, and I forgot to mention earlier, the bucket is on the scale and it's already tared out to 0. So the weight that we see on the scale is only the water weight. We're at 15.7 amps at the 50-second mark. So really good there. So we're at 19.02 pounds divided by 8.34, 2.28 gallons per minute. And that is at a dead on 1000 PSI. Let's try the 5.0. So 19.34 divided by 8.34 is 2.3189. So 2.32 gallons per minute. Now, is it that much better than the old 630? It is an improvement, but it's only about 3%. The old one I got 2.23 at 950. So 50 PSI difference at 0.05. Man, that's a tough sell for being like 100 and something, $150 more. Access Garage has about 10 or 11 or 12 of them or whatever left at $7.99. I don't know what they're going to charge for shipping, but it's going to wind up being $100 cheaper than this one to get very close to the same number. So if you're in the market and those are still available, I grab one, really. The reason you would grab this one at $950 is how quiet it is. We're Kranzler quiet now, and we're several $100s less than a Kranzler and way more performance. And a lot of people pick Kranzler in the past because of how quiet it is compared to even to the 630. But man, we're on the Kranzler quiet now. We're in the 60s in decibel. Now there's the Active 2.3 at $650. It's a 15 amp unit and gets the exact same performance at 950 at the 2.3 gallons per minute. So that's a prosumer level unit though. That's not a commercial grade unit. It's not exactly as easily maintainable. It is maintainable to a certain extent. Oh man, it's a tough decision. Do you need all this? No, you don't. It's a want. It's really nice to have though. It's really nice to have. I just really wish they did $950, man. God, it should have been $800, $850. You priced yourself out of a ton of sales. You really did. The Ryobi automotive pressure washer is going to be all you need, $150. $100 more at $250 total. You got a Uberflex hose, you got a Rain Covo foam cannon, and a 2.2 LUT gun for like, what, $265. It was fun, though, for sure, and it's going up on the wall. I already have it. Is it going to pay for itself? It might take a year. If enough links are clicked over a year, maybe, but hopefully enough cheap foam cannons get sold to help pay for that. So there you go. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to check the links below for anything in the video, and I'll see you in the next video. What am I saying? I'm saying something. We'll shut the engine and the engine. I got a Mountain Dew Zero Sugar can in the middle of the video. Fucking professional, huh? So on this one, it ships with a black dipstick. What am I doing? What am I doing? Like, this is a wrong one. Now, if you have an M22 hose, I suggest basically just throwing one of these. Now, if you have an M22 hose and you still want to keep that, then I would suggest that you just use a quick connect. Now, if you have an M22 hose and you want to, now if you have an M22 hose, I personally think you should just add quick connects. And so on this side, oh my gosh, I can't screw. That way we can, you know, this IKE Foam Pro 2. I told you I leave those things running all the time to make sure that they don't go bad, and that one just kicked off. So about 1230 amps. Amps. Why'd you say amps? I thought I made it a whole video without doing that stupid stuff.